becoming more and more important as we go throughout this case. Doug Burns, former federal prosecutor, is with us. Joe DiBenedetto. Is it okay to call you Joe, right?
Of course.
Criminal defense attorney. Welcome to you both. Nice to have you with us. As we continue to see this case, Doug, move from the hearsay part, where the prosecution was, introducing a lot of "she told me this," to now some medical testimony. What is key here for the prosecution?
They need two things to sort of align absolutely perfectly in order to prevail in this case, and it is possible that this is going to happen. The first thing that they need to align is you have what lawyers call a battle of the experts. One expert, excuse me, says it's an accident, right? And that's the way it was ruled the first time around. They then exhumed the body. Now they say it's a homicide, and they have pretty potent experts, including Dr. Baden, who say it's a homicide. So that gets you past step one, that she was killed, as opposed to it being an accident. Step two, obviously, I'm not being sarcastic, is who did it? Who done it? Well, wait a minute. It's in the house that, he has access to, and so forth.
And it goes back to the hearsay evidence.
And then you couple it.
Snuck in and all that.
Yeah, the second alignment is statements like she was afraid and he said, I can kill you and make it look like an accident. If that all gels and crystallizes perfectly, they could prevail.
Joe, isn't it enough?
This is a case, to me, that I'm not making a judgment as to whether or not he's actually innocent or guilty. But to me, this case screams not guilty. There's not enough here. There's zero physical evidence. What this judge has allowed in by way of hearsay, to me, is quite disturbing. This is a case that is wrought for on appeal. If there is a conviction, we'll come back on appeal with a reversal.
So, Doug, you mentioned the two experts, these two other medical examiners, including Dr. Baden. What's interesting is that the jurors will not hear from the first pathologist, the first medical examiner, because he died a couple years ago. So they won't get to hear from him his original findings and why he said this was an accidental death. How big of a blow is that?
Well, they may not hear from him in terms of testimony, but I do believe they'll have his conclusions and his findings before them. But what's interesting, and I've seen this many, many times in trials, is that the defense side always wants to latch onto something that seems appealing, and here it's like, aha, they ruled it an accident, case closed. But jurors are a lot smarter than that very often, and they turn around and say, that's fine and well, but now they've taken a closer examination and determined that it's a homicide. But I've heard experts say real quick, and I would turn it to Joseph, that the first one was in more detail even, so that's a hard argument for the prosecutors.
Joseph, one of the things that, and I think this would be interesting to get both of your perspectives on this, that with the shows like CSI and Law and Order, everyone thinks that they're an expert because they've seen it on television and they've seen, medical examiners reenacted. So, in your opinion, how powerful will this testimony be for the jurors that really want the details of this case? And some of these medical examiners are connecting the dots to it being a homicide.
It's as powerful as the attorneys make it. But what we have to put in context here is there's an original medical examiner's report where they're investigating and looking, and there's a finding that it's an accident. Now the prosecutors are making these new forensic pathologists understand that, listen, we're looking to prosecute somebody here, so we're looking for a different cause of death. And is it coincidence these forensic pathologists are paid by the state? Is it coincidence that they'll now say that this is a homicide? I don't think so.
Interesting. And one of the questions that remains is, what is the evidence that ties Drew Peterson to the crime scene as of right now?
Yeah, but the 800-pound gorilla in the room and the trickiest tap dance of all that would make Fred Astaire wince is that the reason they reopened it is because the fourth wife went missing. But of course, that's not really before this jury.
I didn't know that you tap dance, Doug. Is that something that
occasionally
every lawyer does once in a while?
In court.
Right there, Doug. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you as well.